Good morning, good afternoon, and good night is what a lot of people, including Stephen A. Smith, are saying to the title chances of our 76ers. I don't know. How do you feel about it? How do I feel about it? I don't know. I guess I have to convince myself by the end of this episode. But I'm your host, James Hyden, here with my guys, Josh Saffron, Doc Locke. How are you, pal?
And I'm a bit shaken. I'm a bit exhausted, but right around the corner today and tomorrow we will preserve our energy. And when Thursday comes around, man, nothing else matters. So we'll talk Sixers, but I'm just biding my time until the madness can begin. And then I got one eye on the Sixers, but call me when it's playoff time, fellas. Just call me when it's playoff time.
My goodness. Shaken, not stirred. Josh Saffron, Max Coolish, the man of many digits. How are you, man? 3 digits now, is in 3 losses since James Harden has been a member of the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah, and the most recent one, possibly the most disappointing of the season. I'm assuming we're going to talk about it, so I'll bite my tongue for now. But
Yeah.
I am shaken and stirred.
Wow.
Shaken and stirred. Woof. Which James Bond are you? Let's see. Getting right into it. We'll start right there. And it's been a tale of two Sixers teams here, and it's a very clear dividing line between the team that was 5-0 when James Harden got here, and then the team that is 1-3 since. So let me ask you guys, which version? And Max, I felt something there. I heard something in the tone. I heard something coming. Which version of the Sixers do you believe in? Because you're shaking and stirred. So where are you landing?
I mean, last night it was excruciating to watch. It was death by 1,000 cuts. It was a back and forth game with a close loss, which I feel like is ultimately the worst kind of game to lose, because they're up 19 in the first half. Like, that's a game that great teams cruising. Like the Nuggets are they're a pretty good team, right? Nikola Jokic is one of the best players in the league. Outside of him, they are not the best roster. If you go up by 19, like the Nuggets lose, they tend to lose big, because that typically means teams are neutralizing Jokic. Or in the case of last night, what could have happened is Jokic is still getting his, but everyone else around him is cold. Last night, the Nuggets did kind of go nuclear in terms of who was making what kind of shots for them. Bone Highlands is a guy I like, but the dude has, from what I've seen of the Nuggets this year in the handful of games I've caught, the dude has been, that was supernova unconscious what he did last night.
Oh yeah.
And that kind of stuff happens, but at the same time, you're up 19, it doesn't matter if it's in the first half, that is a huge lead. That's a huge lead. That's 7 possessions. You have a 7 possession head start when you're up 19, right? That's a lot to think about. And I'm extremely disappointed and disheartened by what I saw last night from the Sixers. That was a prime bounce back spot, and to kind of go off the paper here, if you look at the last game the Sixers played, besides the Magic, the last home game the Sixers played was that Nets game, and they lost by 30 at home. That was a marquee matchup, and they got dominated. Last night was a marquee matchup. That was a nationally televised game. That's Embiid versus Jokic. That was the MVP debate. That is a big time game. And they came out strong, which, that was nice to see for once. And I guess I got ahead of myself. I'm like, oh my God, the Sixers are having a good first quarter. This might be an enjoyable game to watch. And it was not the case at all. Instead of coming out asleep and picking it up, they did the opposite. They came out hot and they cooled off, and ultimately they didn't make enough plays down the stretch to win the game. The bench was awful last night. It was probably their worst performance of the season. I think that's really my main takeaway from all of this, is that the bench still isn't great, and I guess that maybe we were getting away with a little bit more than we thought throughout the season, but that's certainly the floor, and that's not good.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say this: all of the Nugget starters were negative in the plus minus, and I get granted plus minus is kind of a there's a lot of evidence to show that it's a very cherry-picked stat, plus minus.
It can be, but I think it's a generally good ending. If you play good, I think in general you have a good plus minus.
Let's just say this: if ESPN had PER on their box scores available, I would use PER more than plus minus.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair.
Yeah, let's see. So every Sixers starter was positive. Matisse Thybulle was a plus 16. Nobody else. So that goes plus 16, plus 2, plus 1, plus 2, plus 2. Every Nugget starter was in the minus, starting at -7 going down. This is a very, very weird game to really look at. I mean, George Niang going 2 of 12 from the field.
No.
Danny Green going 0 of 5 from the field. Not fantastic. So, Josh, which version of the Sixers are you believing in?
Max, you hit all the bases, man. I tip my cap to you, and you make my.
I meant to leave you something. I just.
Oh no, you're good because it's very simple, and I think the scary thing is about the Sixers team is that as great of an addition as James Harden is, and as great as Embiid is playing, literally undeniable MVP level. I think his odds for MVP are like minus 140 at this point in time, which we all know gambling isn't everything, but Vegas does have a very good grasp on what those MVP odds should be. Yeah, so you got Maxey playing well, Toby stepping up lately, but it just comes down to the bench, it comes down to depth, and it comes down to shooting. And it's just very frustrating because this is what we've seen the last 3 years, I believe now. The Nets game, don't need to say anything about that. The Magic game was embarrassing because Max, you're talking about last night's game being a bounce-back game. I thought the Magic game was supposed to be the bounce-back game. I think that's why they started Embiid, because that seems like a game where you easily rest Embiid. That's a scheduled rest for Embiid. I think the Sixers were saying, like, we need to get our mojo together after that Nets game. We need to play more together as a unit. What I think is happening right now, however, is not the version of the Sixers that we will see in the playoffs. I do think that it sucks right now and it hurts to watch right now, but I do not think that this is going to be the version of the Sixers we see in the playoffs. And I'll say it really simply. This team gelled so nicely in the first 3 games, and I think that just may have been a little bit too much excitement and a little bit too much of an overreaction one way. Now we're seeing the flip side of the coin, which some of us, including myself, may have expected a little bit more when Harden first got here, and it's just not all meshing all the time, plus that added layer of the bench just not being great. I think the number one concern from these last 3 games that Sixers fans should take out of this is not James Harden. It's not Tobias. Maybe it's the bench. I think it's Doc Rivers, fellas. And I think for a little stretch with James Harden coming here and winning some games, we were able to put Doc Rivers, the quote-unquote 15th best coach in NBA history, out of our minds. These last 3 games, to me, it's glaring. It is glaring that this Doc Rivers guy is just not the correct fit at head coach to win the championship. And Max, I might be addressing what you're about to say, and it's what's he supposed to do with his bench? Is that what you were going to say?
I was just going to say last night in particular, I haven't really had much of an issue with I don't want to say with him because I have, but at the same time, like, I don't think last night's fair to put on him. I really don't. I actually think he did a pretty good job with his rotations last night. I will say this: my number one criticism of Doc Rivers, and I'm going to claim a victory lap right now. DeAndre Jordan is just as washed as I said he was, and I am 100% putting that on Doc Rivers because we all know Doc Rivers loves DeAndre Jordan from their time in the Clippers. So I will say everything that comes from that is his fault, and I think that right now my biggest issue with Glenn is that he will not try B-ball Paul or Bassey. Like, give Bassey a shot with
but like, he doesn't even know. He wouldn't even know when to give them a shot. Is my issue.
It's as simple as this. If you want to play DeAndre Jordan, it's like a flow chart. Are you thinking about playing DeAndre Jordan?
Exactly.
Yes. Just play Charles Bassey instead. No, and then that goes to Paul Reed or Charles Bassey, and both of those lead to yes.
You read my mind, dude. Like that's it's incredible.
I really quickly want to address what Ethan said because it was kind of what my final point was going to be about why I'm not too worried about the Sixers, and it's because, well, the answer is no, honestly, Ethan. But what he needs to do, this may sound a little bit crazy, is literally play your starters at least 40 minutes. Like, all of these guys need to play 40 minutes in the playoffs. Maybe not in the first round, but after the first round, you just got to play these guys 40 minutes because that is your only chance of winning a championship, and that is how you win the championship nowadays, especially without depth. And it's a scary statement to make because if you play your guys 40 minutes in round 2, what are they going to look like in the championship if they even get there?
I mean, especially with the hamstring injury for James Harden, his age, Joel Embiid's ever-imposing health.
I can't help myself, though, and call me naive if you want, and go ahead, but it's just the talent on this starting lineup is too damn good, and I wish I could say the Nets don't scare me, but after that game, I have to say they scare me. Everyone else in the rest of the conference, I don't know, man. I think they do have a chance. I'm not terrified at this point in time, but you really have to play your starters about 40 playoffs.
Yeah, Josh, you took one of my points perfectly there, and Max, I love that the flow chart. Like it felt like you just like stepped like one foot inside my brain and just pulled something out of it. I just feel vindication because 2 takes that we can go back and check the tape on is me saying Glenn Rivers is no longer a modern NBA head coach, and that I'm terrified about the depth that the Nets took away from us. Josh, you're right, man. Like 42, 45 minutes out of Joel Embiid constantly in the playoffs worries the heck out of me. Like it worries the heck out of me, especially, and you made a good point about the Magic game. That was absolutely Doc Rivers saying, we need to get right here, so go out and do it. And it didn't work, and you needed to play Joel Embiid 43 minutes on the first night of a back-to-back before he had to go play the Nuggets. That sucked to watch. Yeah, I feel vindication, but I don't want, like, it's not a good sense of vindication. Like, I don't want to be right here. I just happen to be because I'm a pessimist by nature. I think you're right, though, Josh. I don't think this is... I don't think either of the versions that we've seen are the true version of the Sixers that we're going to see in the playoffs. Obviously, the bench is going to be shortened. I mean, I actually really don't know if I can say obviously anymore. You can't. So I don't know. We'll see. I really just
extremely far away, my friend.
Yeah, you do sound extremely far away. If you want to go back to the computer, that's fine. It feels like you're yelling at me all the time. Yeah. You can be yelling at us. That's fine.
I don't know. Listen.
We'll see how this goes. Our next question, we kind of touched on it a bit. Everybody touched on it a little bit in their own way. And before I get to this, what is Ethan's next comment? Less relevant in the playoffs. Yeah, you're right. But then again, like we said the same thing last year, and Doc Rivers ran out 11-man bench at one time during the playoffs. So, like, are you right in theory? Yes. In practice, I certainly hope so, Ethan. I really do. Because you're a smart guy. And it doesn't seem like Glenn is all of that smart of a guy. But our question number 2, and we talked about it a little bit each there in our own way. What's the Achilles heel of this Sixers team? So, Josh, you gave kind of 2 answers. I want to see which one you pick here. What is the Achilles heel of this Sixers team?
Real quick, am I coming through?
I turned you all the way up. I can't really. You sound like you're far away.
You sound kind of the same.
Well, that hurts. I've clicked default now. How am I sound?
You don't sound any different.
Far away, brother.
All right. Well, why don't we go to Max? I'll hop back in.
All right, Max. Yeah. What is this? What's the Achilles heel of this Sixers team, man?
I mean, it's got to be the consistency of the 3-point shot. When our best shooters are streaky guys like Danny Green and Shake Milton, like in terms of just pure shooting, like obviously having Harden is great, but that makes it a little better. But if there's one thing that I think can kill the Sixers, like just totally never give them a chance in a playoff series, it would be a consistent lack of consistent made threes. Like we have these games where I feel like I see the Sixers shoot sub 25% from 3 a lot more frequently than I see other teams. So I don't know if you agree or if you disagree, but I there's a couple things, but for me, that's the one that I couldn't not say.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how consistently inconsistent they are, because like it feels like every third or fourth game you'll get the third quarter stat where the announcer will say that the Sixers bench is being outscored by like 19 points. And like you can almost schedule it like every third or fourth game, and it's kind of just like it's infuriating at this point, because like I can't sit here and watch Danny Green go 0 for 5 anymore. It is like bash your head into a brick wall, just tough to watch. So Josh, let me hear you, man. What's up, good?
All right. First of all, are we back?
There we go.
All right.
There we go. We got you.
You're good.
Loud and proud. This might sound like an odd one, but it's just one I've seen in the last couple of days, or I guess the last few, and it's just confidence, right? Like we can talk, and you did, the shooting was going to be mine, Max, so I had to get a little creative, but I think the confidence is just not really there right now, and I do turn to that Nets game first and foremost.
other than Joel Embiid, right? Embiid is clearly feeling himself. He knows he's the MVP. He's playing like it. He wants the ball. Other than Embiid, I'm not seeing any confidence. And when I say that, I think about James Harden first and foremost. I don't know if I saw it in his first 2 games here, or maybe he was just really just feeling it out. I almost feel like now that he feels comfortable, he's playing a little bit more scared. We saw it in that Magic game, I think once or twice, he almost got the Ben Simmons treatment. Which is just, I hate to say it, but like guys were just nowhere near him, and he was hesitant to take. I know there's one I can think of where he was hesitant to take, and then he did take it. There's another I can think of where there was no one within like 10 feet of him, and he passed it off to Maxey or something like that. James Harden doesn't look that confident right now. Maxey against the Nets looked like a 21-year-old playing against Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, which that's a sad reality that we've kind of forgot about. Matisse Thybulle will be confident one game, and then the very next, he'll look like Matisse Thybulle. Niang is the only guy who can really play confident, but he's not consistent. So and Toby's Toby. Need I say anything about Toby's confidence? I mean, who really knows that guy? I just don't think this team is really playing confident. The Nets came into the Wells Fargo Center and they said, we're Kevin Durant, we're Kyrie Irving, we've won championships, let's go prove them wrong. And the Sixers were there like deer in headlights. You know what I mean? They did not look ready for that task other than Joel Embiid. So I think this team really needs to find themselves, grab their cojones a little bit here and say, we are the team to beat in the East, because that's not what I'm seeing. I felt that way. I think you felt that way when they got James Harden, and then they played their first real team, the Nets. And I'm afraid it's just taking them a little bit longer to convince themselves they are that team. And it might take myself a little bit convincing too. Like I said, I'm not panicking, but now all of a sudden the Nets have they've earned my respect, and I don't know where to judge the Sixers in the realm of
in the grand
Nets,
scheme. Yeah.
Bucks, Sixers. Right, you get what I'm saying, the contender realm.
I struggle to psychoanalyze James Harden. You know what I mean? Because he seems like a guy that you would never have to worry about confidence-wise. He seems like he kind of exudes that aura. But like last night against the Nuggets, how long have you been an upper echelon point guard? You're one of the top 75 greatest players in the NBA of all time. And you have Tyrese Maxey running along the baseline, and he's 2 feet out of bounds. Like he took two or three steps out of bounds, and you try and sneak a pass into him while you're at the elbow. Like it's just stuff like that. It's just like, dude, like you know that I know, like you know that I know that you know that you are better than that. Like you shouldn't do that. Like we're here. Like why? What's going on?
And on that note, I mean, I don't know if this is confidence. This is confidence. Doc Rivers being a bad coach, or both. Why on earth are we not giving the ball to James Harden down 3 and saying, go step back and just make a 3-point shot, right? Like, I get it. You wanted to draw up a creative play, get Niang open in the corner there. It failed. But I thought the whole point of getting James Harden was for moments like that, right? Like, I get he's not Dame Lillard, but isn't he one of the best guys at just ISOing, getting a screen, make a one-man miss and stepping back, and they didn't even try it, right? It wasn't like they tried it and then he had to pass out of it because he was smothered. Like, no, it was just a play clearly designed to George Niang, who instead of and he just took it, even though he was covered. It drives me absolutely crazy, man. I thought the whole reason we got Harden was for moments like that. Harden's not an average shooter.
Harden's not an Ethan, my guy.
Context. This is a Warriors fan. Just ignore.
I called you a smart man a couple minutes ago.
Numbers nerd too, right, Max?
That's tough. What? I called you a smart man.
Yeah.
Let's see. Our next.
I'm not a numbers guy, Ethan. I'm not a numbers guy. What do your eyes tell you?
Oh, he's an eye test guy.
Harden loves to cook.
Oh my goodness. Our next question. This one's tough. There's been, let's say this. NFL free agency is exciting. Career 36. Golly. I'm not, you know what? I'm not going to dignify this.
I'm not going to dignify the career volume average.
NFL free agency is well underway. And we're not going to talk about the latest signing of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to talk about kind of I want to say, I'm going to call it the dark cloud hanging over all of the QB needy teams, and QB needy is in quotations here, in the NFL. That's Deshaun Watson, who Friday was it last Friday? I forget when he got the grand jury failed or decided not to indict him on 23 charges of sexual misconduct against 23 individual women. So now the next news that comes out along that obviously is a whole bunch of money going out and a whole bunch of settlements to those women since the grand jury decided not to indict. That means Deshaun Watson is eligible to be traded. Teams are back in on him, although he may be facing a suspension from the league. We'll see how that comes down. Now we turn our attention to the Eagles, who have always been loosely connected to the, we'll call him former Texans quarterback because there's no way he quarterbacks a game for them anymore. Oh boy, Max, should the Eagles go after Deshaun Watson to be their next quarterback, or are you riding with our boy Jalen?
I think I'm just riding with Jalen Hurts here because, quite honestly, like it's just not a positive move for this franchise. I just don't think that it is. I think that this franchise does not need a total upheaval in terms of what the franchise is, right? Like we just did this a year ago, and we already have established, as you know, in 1 year we have a brand new coach who's established a playoff culture. And yes, I've said on here countless times that Hurts is probably not the guy long term. But you know what else is not the solution long term? To give Deshaun Watson middling offensive talent around him and trading 3 picks that you can really, really use to great benefit, right? I think that's really what it comes down to here for me. We know the Eagles are not at championship contention level quite yet, but with 3 new, shiny new cars in the garage, right? With a brand new linebacker, a brand new defensive end, and maybe an offensive playmaker, like this team could make some legitimate noise next year, right? Like if they improve, and if is always the big question because you're going to be subjected to a harder schedule when you play, when you play well and kind of turn the ship around, right? Like that's where the consistency of the NFL is so impressive. Like the teams that do it year after year, they do it against the best teams because that's what kind of schedule they're subjected to, right? Like, for example, people love the Broncos next year because the Broncos get to play the Jets and the Panthers and the Giants and, every bad team in the league because they came in last place. So in a whole roundabout way of me saying it, keep Hurts, keep building. If he's not the guy, then next year you'll know. Like next year you'll know that you have a team good enough to contend or not with a legitimate, top tier quarterback if you still want to go the route of trying to find something already established in the league. And if he's not, then you have plenty of young guys to build around and you can hopefully find a stud in the draft next year, right? I think the Eagles can definitely take it either which way. I don't think Deshaun Watson's the right move. He said that he doesn't want to come here. I think the Eagles are out on him anyway at this point personally. Best of luck in Carolina. That's my best of, my last word to Deshaun Watson.
Josh, do I need to ask you?
Yeah, well, I was just about to say, I'm going to take the Jalen Hurts fan hat off for this segment and focus on the Deshaun Watson of this. And it's a hell no. It's a hell no. I mean, for the reason, first and foremost, is just like, I can't imagine that guy. I can't imagine being excited and proud of my team with that guy as my quarterback. And it's just so simple as that. I mean, I was too young to really, I don't know. I Michael Vick came here and I didn't really have that crazy of an opinion. I was too. Now I am older, and this Deshaun Watson thing is hell no. And then you add the football aspect to this. Deshaun Watson's a great quarterback. I won't try and act that's not the case, but go right ahead and look at his last season he played in the NFL. That was a Texans team that does not have much talent, and he got 4 wins. Right? He is not some Tom Brady. He is not some Aaron Rodgers. He's not some guy who can just completely elevate your win total just by him alone. He needs some pieces. He needs some weapons around him. And that's crazy to say, right? Like, that's not really a knock on him. Like, most quarterbacks need some weapons around them. But like you said,
that was also a Texans team that was actively trying to get Bill O'Brien fired.
Well, yeah. That is true, but to my point, Ben, look, he played bad. He himself might have not played terrible, but the wins and losses debate this separately. Wins and losses, fully a quarterback stat, but it is not nothing. This notion that you get Deshaun Watson here and all of a sudden you're a legitimate contender is just a farce. And Max, you put it nicely. You get your weapons, you build around, and listen, if I'm really hung up on the whole women thing, like, to be honest, many people should be, but if you more weapons on this team, it might be a different story, right? Just being honest here. I'm not saying I advocate for Deshaun Watson, but if there are a few more weapons around, maybe we're over here talking ourselves into it and talking about giving a chance. And if he does this and helps with that charity, we're talking about it. But it's a double-edged sword here. Well, not a double-edged sword here. It's two things. It's what he did about women, and it's just
It's two swords.
The team's not ready. It's two swords with normal edges.
This is tough. Deshaun Watson is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. That's just when he's playing. That's what he is.
Is he anymore? There's been some good.
Yeah, I would say so.
Joe
So
Burrow?
let me get there.
Joe Burrow. Oh wait, you're getting there.
You know what? No, I'll give you. He is well inside the top 10 now because of the ascension of guys like Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and the like.
I think that's fair.
Still an extremely good quarterback that he's an elite talent at the quarterback position. Now, I say it's tough because of when you're a GM and you are, you're seeing other guys like the Chiefs go out there and the Browns go out there. Well, maybe the Browns isn't a great example, but the Chiefs go out there and give guys quote unquote second chances. And you're part of an organization who gave a similar player in a similar position a second chance, and you see how it pays off, and your job is on the line.
Right.
Your perspective changes very, very quickly. So it's really, really tough for me to sit here and say that as a GM responsible for a $1 billion organization, I wouldn't at least try to get someone that's top 7 at their position in the most important position in.
You're trying to make an upgrade.
Exactly. The most important position in professional sports, I think, would be very short-sighted of me to just give you that hard answer. But for me as a fan, this is a hell no. I would be a hypocrite if I held a different stance on Deshaun Watson that I hold against people like Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill, Odubel Herrera, Jurius Familia, which don't even get me freaking started that the Phillies prioritized signing 2 domestic abusers over, you know what? No, I'm going to stop right there.
Who aren't that good?
I can't. I would be a hypocrite if I was to say anything other than this is an absolute resounding hell no. Deshaun Watson, you've got a lot of work to do to come even close to deserving to play anywhere besides Texas and just wither away for how you've carried yourself in the public eye. Maybe you get traded to New Orleans. Maybe you get traded to Carolina. Either way, don't let that think that everything's over. So as a GM, I understand why the links or the connections are made right there. I really do. But as a person, hard pass. So, like, that answers it. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Here's the fun stuff. NFL free agency. We're going to talk about it in a wider scope now. And this one's fun. We are all Temple grads here. Max and I got to really enjoy the heyday and the kind of peak of the most recent signing of the Philadelphia Eagles. Hassan Reddick coming back on a 3-year, $45 million deal to be
a great price.
Great price
for a guy who's gotten double-digit sacks 3 of the last 4 years, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Great price for a Pro Bowl edge rusher coming back to town. Camden native, grew up, went to Camden High, played at Temple University as a walk-on, earned his scholarship. Max and I got to really enjoy the peak of Temple football with Hassan Reddick being a large factor leading the way. So, boys, I mean, it's obviously a great signing, but what do you see from this signing of Hassan Reddick into Jonathan Gannon's defense, Josh?
Whew, it's rare. It is so rare you have a transaction that's like unanimously loved, and I think this is one of them. It's
I agree.
Philly guy coming back home, good player, fits a big need. I feel like I almost don't need to say more than that. It's just so refreshing to have a legitimate threat in terms of like an edge rusher. No one has to convince me Josh Sweat's going to break out. No one has to convince me that Brandon Graham is going to take a drink from the fountain of youth. That's nothing against BG, by the way. It's just, come on, let's be real. No one has to convince me that
He got hurt.
right. And he'll be productive, but no one should be expecting the BG we used to know, right? Like he can fine, but this is a guy that the Eagles needed. They got him at a great price. I think it's absolutely perfect. I just hope this isn't it, obviously, especially on the defensive end. But on the other note, I think that really helps you from a drafting perspective, right? Because there's a lot of big edge rushers, a lot of these edge rushers based on mock drafts, which, take that with what you will. They're going before the Eagles. And guys like Hutchinson, Thibodeau, those are the big names I've been seeing. The Eagles would have to trade up for that. To me, this was like the Eagles kind of like cut and being like, okay, there's a lot of guys in the secondary that are closer to where we're drafting. We do need to fill the need at edge rusher. Boom, let's get Hassan Reddick at a great price. We know it's reliable. I'm stoked about it. What I'm interested to see, to your point, Banders, though, is how he actually fits into the JG defense, because he is, correct me if I'm wrong, he's listed as a linebacker, is he not?
He's a 3-4 outside rusher. So,
Yeah.
It kind of equates to a hand in the dirt 4-3 end.
Like the Jannard Avery role from this last season.
Yeah, it's weird because he's always, Reddick grew up. He played all three levels of the defense. He came to Temple as a cornerback, played safety, and finally moved to linebacker and / edge rusher. So it's like he plays everywhere. He was a on-ball guy mostly at Temple, and then during the Senior Bowl, he moved to off-ball linebacker to raise his draft stock. So I don't know if there's any real precedent to understand what he's going to be, because he played off ball next to Jordan Hicks in Arizona too before he really went hand in the dirt, kind of pin his ears back at Carolina. So it's like there's no real way to sit here and tell you what he's going to do, especially since we saw how Jonathan Gannon doesn't really know how to use linebackers. You know what I mean? So it's weird.
Well, I will, based on that, Banners. I do remember, I like the concept of what they were doing with Jannard Avery for most of the season. And sometimes he'd get home, but not finish. He'd get into the backfield, but not actually sack it. And I think that's the difference between good and great, which is, I think, Hassan Reddick. Like you said, though, it's kind of up in the air, but I think all in all, you got to be happy with it. You got to be thrilled with it, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Max, your thoughts?
Awesome. I really think this is such a great signing. Especially, with the cap going up, we see contracts get more and more bloated every year, but that is a product of the cap going up, right? Christian Kirk is the poster boy of getting the bag for this free agency period. But getting a premium position and a position of need all in one at $15 million a year on average, obviously I know that's not exactly how it is going to shape out on the cap, but I think that this is a truly, truly excellent signing for the Eagles. And like I said earlier, he's got double-digit sacks in 3 of the past 4 years. This isn't really a case of hoping the change of scenery is what this guy needs. We're bringing in someone who's a proven and established NFL player at this point. The guy's
Pro Bowl,
5 or 6 years in at this point. Yeah, he's got at least one
might
Pro
even
Bowl.
be more than that.
2017, 5 years. 5 years.
Okay.
5, right? Yeah, 5.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a seasoned NFL vet. This is not rolling the dice. This is, to me, this was one of the best free agent signings that's happened so far. I feel in terms of how it fits
for the price,
in terms of just free agency. There's been a lot of good trades. I don't know if we're going to talk about this, but the Chargers are making some excellent moves, and I really, really love what the Chargers are doing. But most of that's been through trades. In terms of Shear getting a guy to sign on a piece of paper by his willing admission, I really feel like this might be one of the best free agent signings that anybody's pulled off so far. That, or maybe the guard from the Bucks, Alex Kappa, is that his name? Something like that. He signed with the Bengals.
Yep. Yeah, Kappa was a big move for them.
Yeah, I think that's the other one that really sticks out to me as great price for what you need. Premium.
The J.C. Jackson.
Position. True, that's right. That's a free agency. Yeah, I think that's an
he got a whole bag from the Chargers, though. Like, that's a lot of
Jason
money.
I don't
Jackson's
know
only,
about that.
26 or 27.
He's
Like,
26, yeah.
even
He's
if you were
young
to-
and he's intercepted a lot of passes.
he got less money in more years than Christian Kirk did, and like J.C. Jackson is way better at his position comparatively. And like I said, Christian Kirk is the poster boy for the guy who got the bag award for this free agency. But like J.C. Jackson led the NFL in total interceptions in the last 1 year, the last 2 years, and the last 3 years. Like, dude is legit a top 3, 5, like at worst top 5 corner.
Yeah. I do love what the Chargers are doing. This is just like a good, like, not even like a redemption story. Like, I'm trying to find the words here. Like, this is just like a wholesome. It's like Hassan Reddick gets to come home, fill an exact need for the home team. Like, this is just reuniting the city.
It is wholesome.
College ball. Like, that's, come on back.
He knows
man.
where the play clocks are too. That's a huge advantage.
Say it again.
Said he already knows where the play clocks are. Huge advantage.
I love that. Go get your old spot back at Waterfront Square, man. It's good to have you back in Philadelphia, man. Hassan Reddick, welcome home. Staying in NFL free agency, the one signing the Eagles need to make, Max, I'm coming right back to you with this. The one signing that the Eagles need to make throughout the rest of free agency.
Man, I would have said Marcus Williams if he didn't sign. Today. I think it was with the Ravens. I believe it was, or maybe that was yesterday. But that was one I was really holding out hope for.
The Ravens.
At this point, I'm not really sure. Like, I feel like he's going to want too much money. I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on Juju Smith-Schuster personally. He does have an acumen as a run blocker. He is a slot, like he is a bigger bodied slot receiver, which we do not have currently. But again, I think that he's going to see the kind of money Christian Kirk got, and maybe not something similar in terms of like average per year, but like that's going to inflate the wide receiver market. And before I was hoping maybe we could get him like 2 years, 18 million, maybe something like that. Now I feel like he'll want like 2 years, 25 million. That's too much for me.
Josh, the one move that the Eagles still need to make.
It's so simple, and I think we've been saying it for a while. Go get Allen Robinson, get him for more than 1 year, and overpay for him if you have to. I am really tired of just not having a reliable, good receiver on this team. And yeah, I'm willing to take a chance on a guy on the draft, but I don't want it to be the only thing I have. Like, you need to get more than one receiver. And this has been a conversation that's been What do you mean?
You can't count on a rookie to come in and be your go-to guy on third downs. Like that's exactly. Total opposite of reliable.
You can't pair that rookie up with Devontae Smith. It's just because Devontae Smith is the closest thing that the Eagles have to reliable at the receiver position, and that guy is soft. And that's just not how it felt. Every team, it's been a conversation in the freak this year. Every team, the days of having one-star receiver are over. You can only win with two. And Allen Robinson might not be like that sexy superstar name, but I think he's the best receiver currently on the market right now. And it's scary because he might get more money for that exact reason I said. And you talked about Kirk, Max. I'm willing to do that. And I'm just tired of dragging our feet as an organization in the wide receiver position. Do not go get a wide receiver in the first round and say everything is solved. Tired of that, man. Go get Allen Robinson, and it's okay if you overpay.
I want to say this. I don't know how I forgot about Allen Robinson, considering how much I advocated for him. Like
I thought you were going to take him. I was sure.
I in one ear out the other, and I'll say this: who's down to offer Allen Robinson the exact same contract we offered Hassan Reddick? Like, is not 3 years for $45 million like perfect for an Allen Robinson deal?
With lots of incentives.
Sure.
I don't know, guys. Like, this is like we're like actively watching the trend where unless it's like a Jamar Chase or like Justin Jefferson, like the wide receiver position is almost turning into running backs because this is a draft class with 6 first-round wide receivers. To me, like from what I'm seeing, I would go get Tyrann Mathieu.
You stole my thunder. That one, Banner Man.
Don't hate it.
I love it.
I love it.
I love that.
I feel like he wouldn't want to come here, but I would love it.
I would say screw it. Go get Tyrann Mathieu.
This city would love it.
Enjoy the youth movement at wide receiver, like Drake London from USC. Like that's Drake London. There's a highlight in high school. He did a 540 windmill dunk in high school. Like go
That's
get
nothing
Drake
to do with
London and just
football.
what are you talking about, dude? Athleticism plays, and did you did you see what he did at USC? Go get Drake London.
You see what Jalen Reagor did in the Big 12, man? Like, I'm done with this. Go get
You're
someone
crazy.
good. I'm
Crazy.
not putting my stock in a Pac-12 receiver banners. Like, that's the point I'm making.
I mean, I get it, but like, if you go get Tyrann Mathieu, you fill out that safety spot. If you need to, you can keep going back to the well at wide receiver. It pays off sometimes with Devontae Smith, and I say sometimes because the Eagles, with the track record that they have wide receivers, it's going to be hit or miss right now. But you can keep going back to the well at first round wide receivers, especially with how talented they keep
every year.
coming
You'll
out.
hit one eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
Or banners. I mean, to your point, it's not like Allen Robinson is the be all end all, right? Like, he might be the best option. Let me just pull it up real quick. What do we got here? Oh, like Sammy Watkins. I mean, like, he's not gonna tip the needle, but if it's Tyrann Mathieu and Sammy Watkins, like, I can live with that. Tyrann Mathieu and I mean, Byron Pringle would be nice, but second guy. Like, there are a few other guys out there.
I almost said Demaryius Thomas. Demarcus Robinson, I'm pretty sure, is a free agent.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'd rather have Allen Robinson. I mean, obviously, I'd rather, but like, my thing with going and paying a high price wide receiver is, like, we saw, like, let's use Allen Robinson for example, like, and even DJ Shark. Like, we've seen these guys with not great throwers, right? So, like, we saw Allen Robinson with a Mitchell Trubisky, like, with a Justin Fields that was still acclimating to the NFL. Like, there's nothing that I've seen in their track record with not great pocket passers that tells me that they're going to come here and turn Jalen Hurts into a Deshaun Watson, into a Patrick Mahomes. You know what I mean? Like,
Allen
it's
Robinson
not.
Was a legit number one for Mitch, I would say.
Yeah, but like, he was a legit number one for Mitch on the Bears team. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't crossing it. It was like barely crossing 1,000 yards.
Playoff Bears team.
I mean, that defense.
That
was
playoff
awesome.
Bears team was not a playoff Bears offense. So I know. Why spend $45 million on Allen Robinson when you could spend it on a couple different players? I don't know. That's just me.
It's not my money. Simple answer.
Yeah,
it's not your money. I love it.
Let's see.
Okay, so that was the signing they need to make. Now let's shift to more of the pie in the sky scenario, Josh, and I apologize for taking yours.
You're good.
Ooh.
Yep, same one.
Yeah. Yep, same here. What's one signing it would be nice for the Eagles to make, Max? Like, your dream scenario, hey, you know what? That'd be cool. I don't think it's going to happen, but that'd be really cool.
I mean, at this point, I'll steal Josh's thunder right with you. It's got to be Tyrann Mathieu. Why would he want to come to Philadelphia? He just, he's coming off 3 Super Bowl trips in a row. Like, obviously, a competitive environment isn't the be all end all, but I don't think we can offer him enough of either extreme for it to really, like, get him to. I mean, I could see a world where it happens. I'm certainly not counting on it, and I would say that he's probably the best, at least the most impactful player that's available in free agency currently.
Josh.
Well, since Tyrann Mathieu's gone, I will pivot to a not as much talent, but more of a fun one. Gronk. Bring Gronk to Philly. That would be a little nice to have. The goal line was
Josh, did you see the news the other day?
No.
Did you see the news?
About Tom?
That he's coming back?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just letting you. Okay, just making sure.
Isn't he? Is still a free agent? Is he not?
Okay, yeah, no, he is. Did Tom Brady come back to the Eagles?
No. This is nice to have, Max. This is nice to have, Max.
And I'm just making sure you saw the news.
Nice, quick and brief. One, Gronk and Philly. I think that would be really fun. I mean, come on, he would. It's so wacky here. He's so wacky and silly. It's in heaven. Second of all, they had Devontae Smith lining up at tight end at certain points in goal line sets last year. Need I say more? Okay, I will say a little bit more. I do love Dallas Goedert. Just remember all of those weird wide open drops he had, and he left a lot to be desired in terms of the goal line offense. Gronk would be perfect for the goal line offense, and that's really what it comes down to. Max, yes, I don't live under a rock, but it's nice to have. Be funny, be nice. Give me Gronk.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all right.
I'm gonna go Gilmore here. Gilmore and Slay.
That is a
just
good
like kind of
Sure.
let Hassan Reddick eat. Let him try and fix the pass rush situation on his own, and Gilmore and Slay
I was about to say.
ahead of Tyrann Mathieu, man.
I was just going to say, just let yourself
That's
dream
pretty
for a second.
ridiculous.
Let it dream for a second.
That turns like a defense who is allowing people to complete 70% of throws on them to a defense that allows people to complete 45% of throws on them. Like that
would be the best secondary ever in 2018. Like,
Dream team.
Pretty. Yeah.
That's literally the Legion of Boom 3 years ago.
That'd be pretty ridiculous. And did Harris sign a 2-year deal? Is he going to be opposite whoever signs at safety?
I feel like he must have, right? Like I haven't heard.
I want to say he signed a multi-year deal.
I think it was just.
But so did McLeod re-upped. So that's actually the safety picture is kind of murky right now. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it,
maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to say Ant signed for like 2-3 years.
Yeah, he must have.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of time to figure that out, so we'll circle back. We'll check. Time for our favorite segment of the week. And of course, that's not the right graphic, so I'm going to take that off the screen. NCAA bracket winners and losers. So we'll go around, obviously, what we do here. We're going to do losers first. So, Josh, I'm going to come right to you. Your loser of this, obviously no games have been played yet. Selection Sunday just happened. Your loser of Selection Sunday.
First 4.
Yeah, well, we don't have any results yet, man.
That's true. My bad.
Your loser, Josh.
My loser, I really didn't have that many qualms with this bracket, if I'll be honest with you. I thought it was pretty good. But my loser, this one's personal. It hits close to home. Being a lifelong Rutgers supporter like myself, it's hard for me to call them a loser because they barely made it in. But then I saw the fact that Michigan, also an 11 seed, they do not have a play-in game, and Rutgers does have a play-in game? That is just absolutely disrespectful. Michigan, in my humble opinion, does not deserve to be in this tournament at all. I cannot stand them. I think they're just not that good at all. Rutgers blew them out of the gym, ran them out of the gym earlier this season, yet Rutgers somehow is playing tomorrow, and Michigan is already nice and cozy in the field of 64. Rutgers are the losers, but the real losers are the bracketologists who put them there.
Max, you're loser.
I'll be honest, I've been vocal on here that I'm like, I am not the guy to come to for like everything college basketball, right? Like, you watch a game with me, I'll tell you what's going right, what's going wrong. When it comes to who got robbed, who got snubbed, who got seated poorly, I'm no Joe Lunardi. With that said, Villanova getting placed in the South when Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games are in the Wells Fargo Center in the East region, when Villanova won the Big East tournament after winning the regular season in the Big East, right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. If you're not a 1 seed after meeting those 2 conditions, you at least deserve to be placed in your respective like home region. So
it was never going to happen.
There is a precedence for it. Not so much with Villanova, with other schools. So I think that qualifies Villanova as a short end of the stick for me.
I'm going to go Baylor here because I think Baylor's a little banged up kind of across the board here with losing their big man. And it is like, it's a tough group. Like Texas is one of the most talented rosters in the country. Purdue is a great team. Murray State, I think people forgot about Murray State after Ja left, but they're a good team. Obviously Kentucky's there, St. Mary's, UCLA. I'm trying to figure out if I want to. No, I'll pick somebody else. But UNC is not an 8 seed. I think that is laughable. I don't get that. I was going to use them as my winner because they got overseeded, but they are not an 8 seed. That is incredible to me. So right back around, Josh, your winner.
My winner is Kansas, and they are not my winner of the whole tournament. I just think that they got such a good draw for being like not the overall 1 seed. I don't know who's going to beat them. San Diego State doesn't scare me. Banners, I know you're a big Iowa guy, but I certainly am not. I've got Auburn losing pretty early. They seem like paper champions. Like I feel like Kansas got an extremely good draw for not being the number 1 overall seed. And this is coming from a guy who just, whatever reason, I see Kansas on my bracket every year, and I'm like, nah, I don't want to pick them. And this year, I had to. They're going to the Final Four for me, and I don't like doing that. I just think they got a very favorable draw from a team that was extremely good this year, but they didn't feel like a I don't know, no doubter, like a team that deserved this easy of a draw. I mean, everyone has their own opinion what a good draw is and what isn't, but man, I think they got a real good path.
Max, your winner.
I'll be honest. I don't really know. Question mark. I'll say this for being the number 1 overall seed. I actually thought Gonzaga had a pretty reasonable bracket to make it out. I think I don't know. I think Duke is just kind of like a circus, not necessarily a bad way, but it's about the kids, right, Mike? So that's all I'm going to say about that. I think Gonzaga had to me someone who's not very smart with this kind of thing. I looked at Gonzaga's bracket and was like, this looks pretty doable for a team that has even for a team that has a reputation of not getting it done in the tournament. So I guess this is Gonzaga's tournament to lose, right? As number 1 overall seed, that's how it works.
Haven't heard that one before.
Yeah,
every damn year.
Yeah, I like teams that are. I like Cinderella teams that can snag an 11 seed, and I think the winner is Iowa State right here, man. I love it.
Wow.
That is that's a Cinderella team. They are elite defensively. The kid who transferred from Penn State, Brockington is his last name. Kid is on fire. Like you said, hey, if Kansas is a winner for that week bracket, then I love me some Iowa State as a Cinderella team from the same region.
I like it.
I think I'm gonna rock with them for a little bit since I don't want to take the 5 seed Iowa right now.
Also, I think Iowa State has covered their last 9 first-round home games. If you guys want to,
I couldn't hear you. What was that?
My bad. I believe I remember seeing Iowa State has covered their last 9 first-round tournament games or something along those lines.
I love that. I love that. And
I
do really like the Wisconsin team, but
dude, I love them.
I actually think Wisconsin has a nice path too.
I really do like the Wisconsin team, but Iowa State to me is just that's. I gotta go with the 11 here. That just feels real good. The 11 over
also,
the 3.
I'd like to retract my Gonzaga's winner is the Big Ten for getting 9 teams in, 3 more than any other.
That's a very good point. Very, very good point. Let's see. Moving into our second half, we're gonna do a little bit of rapid fire here, gents.
Let's do it.
Trades. Who won which trade? We're gonna go through the line right quick. You're gonna tell me who won. Broncos and Seahawks. Josh, do I even need to tell you who was traded? Broncos and Seahawks.
I think the Seahawks won the trade. To be honest, I know it's not very popular of an opinion. I don't know, man. I think the Broncos gave up a lot. I think Russell Wilson doesn't tip the needle that much, especially playing in division with Patrick Mahomes. I think, in the sense of Broncos fans, they won the trade because now they have something to be excited for. But when everything's said and done, I think the Seahawks are going to win this trade. I just think Russell Wilson's on the wrong side. A little bit concerned about the injury, and I don't know, man. That's gave up a lot. I think the Broncos won.
Max, who won this trade?
I think it's more of a wash, but I actually think I am inclined to lean a little bit more towards Seattle as well. And I don't really have issue with so much Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's a great quarterback. I think that it's kind of reeks a little bit of desperation, seeing how far behind you're falling the Chiefs and the Chargers and even the Raiders, who made the playoffs last year when the Chargers were Super Bowl favorites to some people, dark horse Super Bowl candidates, and the Chargers are coming and swinging in the NFL offseason. I'm not super sold on Denver's offense. Their line is really good. They now are going to a guy who's been a career backup tight end. Their running backs game is fine. I am not really a believer in any of the 3 Bronco receivers. I think Cortland Sutton's the best one, and I don't think that he's like a Super Bowl winning wide receiver 1 caliber type of player, if I'm being totally honest. I think the Broncos will be happy. They'll be competitive. I think Seattle picked a bad time to go chasing a new franchise quarterback. But I'll say this: I will be taking the underline for whatever Vegas puts out as the Broncos season win total next year. Because it will be inflated.
Interesting. That's the first time I've ever heard anybody actually take like a shot at the wide receiver core of the Broncos.
I think they're overrated. I think they're not bad players. I don't think any of them are truly elite guys. I always thought that even in the 2020 draft, I suppose it was, I always thought Judy was clearly the lowest of the big 3 in that draft between him.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I won't go through it all, but
really?
I think they're all like good receivers. I don't think there's a truly elite one in that group. I think Russell Wilson will make them better for sure, but willingly putting yourself into the gauntlet that is not only the AFC West, but the entire AFC. I don't know. Do the Broncos make a Super Bowl in the next 3 years competing against Mahomes, Josh Allen, the Ravens, the Titans? The Bengals are legit, Super Bowl contenders now after their last run, like at least for the time being. Like, are the Broncos even going to win their division? Are the Broncos even going to get, the first wild card spot next year? I don't know.
I'll counter that by saying if they didn't make this trade, you're resigning yourself to not trying for 10 years.
I agree.
And that's not a position you can be cool with, especially as of late in Denver with all the QB woes they've had since Peyton Manning. So that's why I'm gonna call it a wash, because I think it is the move that Denver needs to make to save jobs / keep the fans like truly invested. And Denver does have a really good defense, right? Like it's a good
roster all around.
Exactly. But I just think that it's. Football has so much variance in it, and you're willingly doing that to go through a gauntlet of teams that, on any given Sunday, like I'm not taking Denver to win at Kansas City in the playoffs. I'm not taking Denver to win at Buffalo in the playoffs, like off the top of my head, like as of right now. And throughout the course of next year, I could easily find myself saying I wouldn't bet on Denver at Cincinnati or at Baltimore as well.
The latter two, you could talk me into. I'm gonna go.
Exactly. I
gotta go Denver here. Yeah, I gotta go Denver here just because, like, I listen. There's like a lot of people who have. I think we all know who Pete Carroll is. There's a lot of people who have praised John Schneider over the years. I think Russell Wilson was like not only propping up the Seahawks on the field, because as we all know he has. I still am a firm believer in. Up until about 2 years ago, I think Russell Wilson was the MVP of this league for years running because of what he was doing to kind of prop up the holes on that Seahawks roster. The Seahawks are paying their safeties over $100 million. So, like, what am I really supposed to? What am I really supposed to trust?
You gave up that much for Jamal Adams, and I've trashed Ethan on this very live recording, but if you could bring up the comment, minus the embarrassing L stuff. Where's the lie in that? Like
there's no lie.
There's no lie. If you lay out the assets on the table, they turned Russell Wilson into Jamal Adams essentially, and that is like,
yeah.
You can't be a winner if you do loser stuff like that. I think a lot of us kind of forget how like desolate the Seahawks as a franchise were. Like they're by far their best years of their whole franchise history were their Super Bowl loss to the Steelers through the Russell Wilson era. Like they had accomplished virtually nothing prior.
You got to go all the way back to, oh God, his name escapes me now. The wide receiver of like Largent. The Largent. You got to go all the way back to Steve Largent to really. That's tough. I don't know. What am I supposed to look at for the Seahawks? Like you have Drew Lock as your franchise quarterback.
Nah, this is a bridge year.
I mean, I guess, but like you have Drew Lock and a safety pairing making over $100 million. Like, do I really trust you? Absolutely not. So, yeah, the Broncos won this trade for me. Next trade, Colts and Commanders in the infamous Carson Wentz trade. This was, oh my God, Josh, who won this trade, man?
Say it, Josh.
The Eagles won this trade, Matt. Yes, is that what you were going to say? Yes. Yeah, that was the right answer. In brief, all seriousness, I mean, like the Washington football team on this trade. No, if anything, I'll call them the commies. I'm not calling them the Commanders. The Washington football team won this trade because what did you do to yourself if you're the Colts? Like, I get it. We know firsthand how bad Carson Wentz is. You want to clear money, but you're just wasting like a season. You're just saying, hey man, we were close to making the playoffs last year. We're definitely not making the playoffs this year. Jonathan Taylor's good. That's it. And now the Commanders just have Carson Wentz and that's it. I mean, I get there's a money aspect here, but the Colts were a game away from making the playoffs last season. And
they also have the most cap space in the NFL. So like, is there a money aspect?
I mean, like from trading Carson Wentz, they have the most cap in the NFL.
Well, yeah, but like that added up, they still had. I think they still had like 30. They still had like 30 something million if they were paying Wentz. Like,
Yeah. So then I rest my case. The Colts. I mean, it was just stupid. Like you said it, Banners. You said this was not the year to search for a franchise quarterback, and I think that's what happened to the Colts. The Commanders aren't some great winners or anything, but it's like, come on, this is a joke. Eagles are the winners.
Riverboat Ron got his QB. Max, who won this trade?
I'm going to say Frank Reich lost this trade because actually, you know what? I'm going to say Frank Reich won this trade because he pulled the classic little finger maneuver where he said, it's either you or me, buddy. And he kicked him right through the moon chute, right to his DC demise. So good for Frank Reich for holding on to his job. Hopefully he can keep ripping, tequila signs with Jim Irsay for the foreseeable future. And maybe if we're really lucky, the Colts will decide they want one mustache backup from Philadelphia right back to the well. What could go wrong?
Who won this trade? There's so many winners and just so few but clearly defined losers. I'm gonna say we did as members of the quote unquote media because this is just I couldn't think of anything better than getting to talk about this at least 4 times a season, going into the week and coming out of the
Banners,
week.
can I reinforce your winning position? Carson Wentz will play the Eagles twice this year and will play at Indianapolis.
That's incredible. That is awesome. Yeah, that's we are totally
weeks on the radio.
We won. That's now at least 5 weeks of talking about this just absolute embarrassment of a deal. Yeah, I'm going to count us as winners here. So let's see. Next trade here, boys. Chargers and Bears. This is kind of a crazy one here. Sending Ryan Poles taking over for Ryan Pace, and Matt Eberflus taking over for Matt Nagy. Weird stuff going on in Chicago. Decides to trade Khalil Mack out to the Chargers. Josh, who won this trade?
We can almost skip this one, right? I mean, the Chargers dominated this trade. Are you kidding me? They gave up nothing. Really,
they
Max?
Dominated this trade.
I think this is a really good example of both teams winning the trade. The Bears are not a healthy Khalil Mack away. He's a monstrous. The Bears are blowing it up, right? His health is deteriorating.
I guess
a spot like the Chargers is an ideal fit for him. I think both teams are really, really happy. But I will say this: you have to give the edge to the Chargers because proven talent always outweighs potential picks, right? In terms of trading assets, right? Yeah. If the Chargers win a Super Bowl or hell, even make a nice playoff run, it just kind of tips it even more in the favor. And then you're gonna have to wait for the picks to pan out for the Bears and who they turn into and yada yada, right? This stuff always has such a large butterfly effect.
No first round pick.
No first. I think is really huge to mention. Yeah.
And Max, I mean, this is the move that I think has officially elevated the Chargers. I mean, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack. What on earth do you do?
J.C. Jackson, Derwin James.
Right. Without even just the first level, the front four. You have Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. Forget it. I mean, the Chargers are really scary now.
Yeah. This is the Chargers won this trade. Brandon Staley is loading up. Hopefully he doesn't go for it on 4th and a bajillion this year as much as he did last year. So Chargers might be fun next year, boys.
He's not going to feel as pressured. They're investing this much into their defense. I hope he has a little bit more faith in them.
I hope so. Last trade here to go through: Browns and Cowboys. The one where Amari Cooper got sent to Cleveland. One of the more surprising notifications I've ever looked down and seen on my phone. So, Max, who won this trade with Amari Cooper going to Cleveland?
I'll say the Browns won here, but it's more narrow than people think. The Cowboys were preparing to cut him, right? So, getting anything in return is good, but for the level of player that he is, and him clearly stepping into the alpha role that was supposed to be filled by the artist formerly known as Odell Beckham Jr. Obviously we know the Browns have had their issues in terms of integrating guys into their passing offense in the last couple of years. But losing Odell and losing Jarvis Landry within a space of 4 months, you need some help on the outside, like Donovan Peoples-Jones and I forget the other receiver's name. I can't even think of him. So, who? Yeah, exactly.
From Auburn.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's where the receiving course is. So to get a guy who is a proven playmaker like Amari Cooper, and I'll say this: Amari Cooper has been a better and a more willing blocker than Odell Beckham. Like, I'm not saying Odell Beckham was a bad teammate or wouldn't do it, but Amari Cooper has always been a little bit more of a bigger body. Odell has definitely been more of a home run hitter, get him the ball in space kind of guy.
Josh, who won this trade?
I might actually say the Cowboys won this trade, and from a weird angle here, because if you got traded to the Eagles, I'd be hooting and hollering, I'd be having a parade. But Max, I mean, you just named two names that's all I think about now when there's a new receiver on the Browns. You saw how unhappy OBJ was. You saw how unproductive Jarvis Landry was at times. Yeah. There's nothing that says to me that Amari Cooper is going to be this be-all, end-all for Baker Mayfield or whoever ends up quarterbacking that Browns team. And to your point, Max, the Cowboys are going to cut him. Like, it's as simple as that. Obviously, it's a little bit weird for me to look at what the Cowboys got in return, but when you have everything in context, it's not like a blowout. It's like, oh, the Cowboys. No, but I think, Galaxy brained it a little bit here. I got to give the slight edge to the Cowboys.
I'm going to go Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski won this because now you've successively not successfully, but like in a row, you've handed Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., and Amari Cooper. If this doesn't work out, they can look at ownership and be like, this wasn't us, man.
Not me. Don't look at me.
This is
don't look at me, brother.
Dude, and he's got Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb back there with behind the top 3 offensive line.
Yeah,
this wasn't us, dude. Like, we deserve our jobs. Kick that guy to the curb. So Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, you have secured your job even further than it probably already should have been, because I like Andrew Berry as a GM more than I like Stefanski as a head coach. Seeing one of them firsthand. But I think both of them have successfully secured their jobs for a little bit more. Let's see. The GOAT has returned. Max touched on it a little bit. Tom Brady decided, while talking to Cristiano Ronaldo, apparently, that his place was on the field and instead of back home. I saw a tweet the other day that Tom Brady met his wife and kids and decided, hell no, I'm not doing this. And he came back. So, Josh.
What's the question here?
I don't know.
You agree that Tom Brady just wanted to get away from his wife and kids?
Retired? Like, I know we talked about this. Like, do you think he would? I honestly forget. Did you think he would stay retired, or do you think he would come back?
No. I knew there was no chance this guy was staying retired. Are you kidding me? No one retires when they play that well. The guy's addicted to football. He's always talking about playing until he's 50. He was never going to be retired. This was obvious. It was a waste of all of our time. Moving on.
Max, did you think he was going to retire? Like, I forget what you said.
I there's no way, right? Like, there's no way I could have fully bought into it. The dude finished second in MVP voting. Finished 2 wins from the Super Bowl. Like, I don't know. If I said that I really thought that he was retired before, shame on me, because anybody who has watched football at any point in time since 2000 should know that Tom Brady is not going to retire until the wheels fall off.
It's a drug to him. I remember my answer pretty well, actually. I remember saying that I think he's going to retire for 1 year. I'm really surprised that he decided to come back. I thought he was going to use this chance to leverage his way out of the Buccaneers into a different organization. Really? He still might,
Okay.
But it actually seems like it's all kumbaya now with the Buccaneers. I think he was a little high and mighty on that high horse last year with the Buccaneers and how they were all loosey-goosey. And I don't know how you can be surprised by that when Bruce Arians is your head coach, but they kumbaya. They brought Ryan Jensen back as his center. So I think this surprised me. I thought it was going to be at least a year to take a break, actually look your kids in the face and recognize what color their eyes are, and leverage your way to a different team. But
before we go to tap outs, I got one fun fact for you guys. Tom Brady's retirement Tom Brady's retirement lasted 39 days. The MLB lockout lasted 99 days.
You're a son of a bitch, you know that.
It's over. I'm allowed to. If the baseball lockout was still going on, I would not have brought up that fun fact. Baseball's back, so it's a fun fact now.
It still sucks.
No, you're fine. You're missing what, like 12 games? 12 games?
Now
baseball could use a little trim around.
I'm just mad about how it's going so far, man. Familia and Brad Hand and Odubel.
I knew it.
Banners, would you like my tap out time? Because I got nothing this week. I'll happily let you, I'll happily donate my 60 seconds for you to talk about baseball.
No, I don't want to do that to myself. Okay. I don't know. I don't want to be I don't want to depress myself. So let's go to tap outs. Josh, do you have a tap out?
Yeah, I mean, I got nothing crazy. My big tap would be going to Texas. Everything is not, in fact, bigger there. But my tap out was just simple. It's a revisit of an older tap out. Earlier, I announced I had turf toe. It was about a month ago, and I did a fantastic job of self nurturing it. I'd say we're 96% back. I'm playing tennis. We're playing volleyball. We're getting back in there. I know everyone was worried. The toe was starting to feel better. I'm starting to feel better.
Worried.
So that's my tap.
Max, what are you tapping out with?
I got nothing. I quite literally have nothing to talk about this week. My mind is empty and devoid. I have quite literally done nothing but watch basketball like every single night between college championship week and the NBA, between the Sixers letting me down, and really just whatever I can find. I'm watching pardon my French, but a shit ton of basketball lately. So I got nothing interesting to say.
Beautiful. Well, my tap out is if you weren't here to catch us live, you can always find us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Anchor, anywhere in between. You find somewhere we're not, you let us know. We'll get there for you. And if you, like I said, if you weren't here live, you can catch us next week live, because it's always fun chatting with people like Ethan, who I regret calling a big brain person because he has since proven me wrong with his takes on a certain point guard. But who am I to judge? All right. We'll see you next week, Philly. Come join us live. If not, check us out on podcast form. As always, we're brought to you by Mighty Philly, where something's always new.
And
everything's always Philly. Catch you next week.